What's going on, people? I'm Jaye the Black. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I know I'm a little bit late as far as video. I know this situation happened Thursday, but I'm not the one to hop on a topic right when it happens. You know, I usually take a day or so to let the dust settle and just give my analysis of the reaction, because there's been a very big overreaction to a situation that should have been simple. The people who were the more egregious parties of this got suspensions, and the ones who were the lesser ones didn't. And I'm going to explain why. Now, this situation with Myles Garrett, okay, if you look at the play, because I was actually watching the game, but I wasn't in the living room where I had it playing. I went back to go check it out because it happened very quickly because the game was winding down. Okay, the game was winding down. So I kind of left and I said, okay, the game is over. So I left. I come back. This situation's already happened. And I'm sitting there like, what's going on? So I'm sitting there looking because there's a big ruckus going on. I see it looked like some brawl done took place, and then they played the replay, and I'm like, oh man. So once the game was over, I went to look up the actual video clips on Twitter, and I saw the video clip in its entirety. I saw different clips. I saw slowed down clips, and you know, this situation to me, people want to make it into a race thing. And I'm going to tell you why in this situation, you can't really use that, because Myles Garrett has a history of putting hands on people. Okay. He's been fined a couple of times this year. He has a history of this, especially this year. So he was teetering on getting suspended. That's what people don't get. People act like Myles Garrett, for the most part, hasn't done anything to be on the commissioner's radar. This is a way to get on the commissioner's radar. The NFL is trying to protect its players in regards to head injuries. And when you take a helmet, which you really didn't even need, and you whack this guy over his dome, oh yes, you're going to be suspended for quite some time. You're going to be fined. You're going to be seen as the bad guy. Now, I'm not saying that Mason Rudolph should not take blame in this. He definitely deserves blame because he was trying to push off Myles Garrett by trying to basically take off his helmet. Now, people are saying that he kneed him in the groin. That didn't happen. People, stop it. I watched the video. He had his foot basically to push him off of him because Myles Garrett was standing over him. Not standing over, Myles Garrett was slowly, moving himself away from Myles Garrett. And he had his hand on Myles Garrett's helmet, and Myles Garrett has his hand on Mason Rudolph's helmet, and that's when Mason Rudolph put his foot on his basically stomach or groin or whatever. And he didn't like hard kick. It was sort of like a get off me kick, get away from me kick, and it didn't even budge Myles Garrett very much. But again, it happened. And I'm going to tell you why Mason Rudolph didn't get suspended. Not only did you have Myles Garrett take off his helmet, Myles Garrett hit him with the helmet. He also got pushed to the ground by a defensive lineman. So he was getting pushed around out there. So when you see a guy who's getting pushed around, who had he had no impact in that brawl whatsoever. He had no impact. He didn't really do anything that would have warranted the NFL to suspend him. He got fined, but he didn't take nobody's helmet off. He didn't push nobody to the ground. He got pushed around. He got pushed around by Myles Garrett. He got pushed around by the Browns, the other defensive lineman. And I think the NFL said, you know what? He got hit in the head. He got pushed around. So we're going to fine him. But I will say this, though. If you look at other video clips, Mason Rudolph is going back, jawing with Myles Garrett. I can understand him being suspended for that, because you have to say, okay, you got hit in the head with this helmet and you still going back for more. So you're gonna sit you down 2 for a game. I would be in agreement with that, because when it's over, bro. It's over. But he still was trying to go back. See, that's the thing about Mason Rudolph. He's the type of guy, he's an overachiever. Mason Rudolph is an overachiever. Now here you have a guy who's from Rock Hill, South Carolina, north of here. He went all the way from there to Oklahoma State, to being a 3rd round pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers, to basically now being the starter for the Steelers this year. And he's played good for them this year. He has. You can tell the guy is tough. The guy, to be a quarterback, he's feisty, he's scrappy. And that's the type of guy you do want out there in these crunch moments, even though he didn't play very well against the Browns. I think the Browns got in his head, and I think Myles Garrett had a lot to do with that. But if I would have seen him continuing to jaw with Myles Garrett, I would have sat him down in game 2. Because, bro, you've been pushed around, your helmet's been ripped off, got your hit in the head with the helmet. Why are you still jawing with this guy? Go to your sideline, But they find him. And again, it is what it is. I don't have a major issue with that. I don't think it was the legacy of slavery. I don't think it was because of, racism. I just think that people are really reaching with this. Myles Garrett, people are trying to take the blame off what Myles Garrett did. You can't. Myles Garrett made a decision that he really didn't need to. This guy's 6'5", 260 pounds. The guy is solid muscle. Why do you need to use a helmet to hit somebody? You know what I'm saying? But people are overlooking that because of the race components, which is what I think a lot of black people get lost in. That they see a situation where it's black and white and they immediately go to race. And bro, they ain't got nothing to do with this. They ain't got nothing to do. Did he say Mason Rudolph call him the N-word? Did Mason Rudolph disrespect his ethnicity? I haven't heard anything. So why are you bringing that into the discussion? And when it comes to Roger Goodell is willing to suspend people. He don't care what background they came from. The guy suspended Tom Brady for 4 games. People are reaching with this. It is amazing to see people reaching. Myles Garrett did this to himself. You cannot let people get you so emotional and so riled up that you end up losing money and losing playing time, because this is what happens. Let me tell y'all something. Players, especially on the football field, will say and do things to get inside your head. This is what they do. Offensive linemen will say things to defensive linemen to get them off their game. Defensive linemen will say things to offensive linemen to get them off their game. Defensive backs will say things to wide receivers. Look at what happened with Jalen Ramsey and AJ Green. Look at that situation. Was that because of their ethnic backgrounds? Because both of those guys are brothers. But Jalen Ramsey ended up getting body slammed by AJ Green because he got in AJ Green's head. That stuff happens, man. But I don't see people screaming about Jalen Ramsey should get suspended. I've seen a lot of these, brawls. Like I seen a video of Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan getting into it. Now that was a fight. Cortland Finnegan took off his helmet. And I think he took off Cortland Finnegan's helmet. Cortland Finnegan took off his helmet, and Andre Johnson was throwing blows. Both of those are brothers. I'm assuming, Well, Cortland Finnegan might be, racially diverse, but anyway, are we gonna blame that on just discrimination? They just didn't suspend him because he's not black. Man, come on, man. Y'all people need to stop reaching. That's a heavy reach. Roger Goodell does not care if this person is this color, that color. He's going to do what he wants to do as far as making sure that the game of football does not have these issues. They've had so many issues and lawsuits as far as concussions. They're still dealing with that to this day. This is why they brought in new helmets. And then Myles Garrett is using this helmet to whack somebody over the head. That is unexcusable. Unexcusable. But people want to make excuses for it because of his race. And I just think that just shows you that people are always looking to pull the identity politics where they don't need to be. Okay? I think that we see what Mason Rudolph is capable of as far as getting into it with people. But I will say this too, going down the line, if he gets into these situations again, I'm pretty sure that the NFL is going to suspend him if the punishment fits if the crime is egregious enough for them to want to suspend him, you know. But I think people need to stop reaching so much and looking for a reason to be outraged. This is a situation of a guy in Myles Garrett who made this decision to allow his emotions to overcome him. And instead of him putting that helmet down and throwing some fists, because again, dude ain't got no helmet on, he decided to swing the helmet. That is a situation that he brought on himself in that particular moment. You make a decision, you have to live with it. You know? And I think a lot of people are reaching for really no reason. They really are. Because these type of situations happen all the time. But because we're in 2019, everybody wants to make everything about this group versus that group. What this is the displaying is that Myles Garrett played. I think what the whole thing is that Myles Garrett took Mason Rudolph down to the ground when he really didn't need to. You were winning the game. The game is over. You don't need to go that far. Again, that's a Myles Garrett decision. Now, is Mason Rudolph wrong for trying to take his helmet off? Absolutely. But I think that called field justice. And he got field justice for trying to take somebody's helmet off. He had his helmet taken off.